I've been given a special treat this week. I think I mentioned it in a video already. I've been given a cottage for a week. Beautiful bed. I'm absolutely buzzing at the moment. Wonderful bathroom. There's my living room. Here's my kitchen with things in the fridge and sausages and bacons waiting for me. This is my back porch. I can detect all that. And I've come to presents. 3 boxes from here. I'm in shock. Hello, right, I've brought you to the battlefields of Culloden. This is where the last battle in Britain took place on the 16th of April 1746 between the Jacobites and the government forces. Now, just for the sake of this story, so that it doesn't get too confusing, I'm going to call it the Scots against the English. I shouldn't do, it's not historically correct, but I'll just explain a little bit, yeah? The Jacobites were against the Crown. The Crown were the British, mainly the English. A lot of people supported the King, who was King George II in England. A lot of Scottish did. But in Scotland, they had a lot of English who supported the Scottish. So Jacobites were the Scottish, some English, a few Welsh, and French. French supported the Jacobites as well. And the English being pretty much Britain, but mainly English. So as I say, I'll call it Scotland versus England, if you don't mind. I don't want to be disrespectful, but it'll just make it easier for you to understand. It was actually really interesting in the visitors centre. If you want to come here, you have to really be interested in the Battle of Culloden. It's £11 to get in. I got in free because I'm a National Trust member. Woohoo! But inside it is literally just boards and boards full of information telling you about the war, about the battle. So you have to be interested, otherwise don't bother coming. So the guide let me wear this sword with the dagger thing in my hand, and he explained how a gun worked, because I didn't really know. You know, I know I've shot a lot of modern guns, but old musket guns, yeah, I find musket balls, I know they use flint. I never really understood how they fired. And he explained it to me really well and let me hold one and fire one. Nothing in it, but I saw the flint spark as I pressed the trigger. Pretty interesting stuff. Like when you think, the spark then ignites the gunpowder, which then goes in the barrel and then sets it off. That doesn't happen instantly, so when you pull the trigger, the shot won't actually come out for maybe a few seconds. It's not an instant thing, which I didn't know. There's these memorials placed all along as well. This is for the Camerons, the clan Cameron, where 400 of their men were killed here on the side of the Jacobites, and somebody, I'm guessing that's going to be a Cameron who's come along and put some very nice flowers down there. So let's go back a bit in time. Bonnie Prince Charlie. I've mentioned him before on this trip and places. He's landed in Scotland, ready to make this advance. He basically was heading down to London, trying to gather support for the Jacobites, and his plan was to get down to London and throw King George II off his throne. The problem was he was heading down there and he was hardly getting any support. Nobody was joining him. So they got to Derby, the town of Derby, and upstairs in a pub they had a meeting, and Bonnie Prince Charlie was saying, look, I know we ain't got the men we wanted, but we still have to carry on, we have to go for the king. And all the rest said, no, honestly, we're going to get his head kicked in, it's just not possible, let's just go back. So Bonnie Prince Charlie reluctantly agreed to go back to Scotland. This was in December 1745, and the reason they managed to get all the way down to Derby is because the English were away fighting at Flanders against the French. They were away fighting in Europe, and they'd just got back in September and they hadn't had time to get all the clothes sorted out and some fresh food sorted out, so they weren't ready for a battle. So that's how they managed to get so far south. But because they retreated, the Jacobites, the Scottish, retreated, it gave the English chance to regroup, get the men together. So once they had all the men ready, there were no way the Jacobites, the Scottish, could ever win. Now it gets interesting, because this could have changed the world as we know it today. If he would have carried on, he didn't know this, you see, but what was happening is further down south there were some English supporters waiting for him. There were some Welsh supporters. They were all ready to join his army and have a go at the king. King George II himself was terrified. All of London was in panic. He was packing his bags, putting them all on ships, ready to flee the country. They reckon that if they would have carried on and gone to London, they would have won, and they'd have knocked George off his crown, which would have resulted in a lot of things. For a start, it would have stopped the next 70 years of fighting between the French and the English. There'd have been no French Revolution, and the Americans would have no reason for war for their independence. There you go, even America's involved. So in April 1946, the Jacobites, the Scottish, I keep saying both, don't I? I should have just stuck with Jacobites in the first place. The Scottish chose here for the battle to commence, the Battle of Culloden. Now this was a really bad choice, because there's no trees, it was just moorland, easy for the English to beat them with their tactics and their weapons. They'd beat them on land like this. What the Scottish should have done is got up to high ground, and because that's what they used to be very good at, battling from high ground, but they just didn't do it on this occasion. Why? I don't know. Let's blame probably Bonnie Prince Charlie's fault himself, but yeah, bad choice. So the Scottish were here on April the 15th, ready for battle. They were all up for it. It was all decided. This was going to be the day. What they didn't know is the English were 12 miles away. They were having a party. The leader of the British, some duke, it was his birthday, so they're having a big party, all having wine and McDonald's and stuff 12 miles away. So the Scots heard about this and they weren't very happy, because they were starving, tired, cold, wet, damp. Probably a day like today, it's horrible. But what they thought is, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll wait, they're all going to be drunk. We'll wait till tonight, wait till they're asleep, and we'll attack them then. So the Scots set off after the English whilst they were asleep. They went 10 miles, but then they heard that the English were starting to wake up. Because what they didn't know is the English did have guards looking over the fields, making sure nobody were coming. They did see them coming, and they woke all the rest of the troops up. So the Scots heard that they were waking up and ran back to Culloden and thought, oh, we'll wait for them there. So they went back to Culloden, absolutely shattered. They hadn't slept for 2 days, no food for 2 days, damp and wet, waiting for the English to come. So the English turned up in high spirits with 8,000 men. The Jacobites only had 5,000. On top of that, a lot of them had run away looking for food. A lot of them had fallen asleep in ditches because they were so tired. They just weren't ready for a battle. It just had disaster written all over it right from the start. You've got 2 stones here as well, and it's important just to remember it wasn't just the Scots against the English. The Jacobites were made up of Scottish. There were even some English in supporting the Jacobites, some Welsh and French as well. And these stones are just to commemorate the French who were fighting on behalf of the Jacobites. So as the English came over, the Jacobites saw them and started firing the first shots. The English in response started firing the cannons over, all their artillery going over, which the Scots couldn't compete with. So the Scottish decided it was time to attack. Now this brings me on to another little story, so let's just take a little sideline for a minute. So this is a story about the chief of the MacGillivrays and the Well of the Dead. So one of the Scottish clans fighting for the Scottish, for the Jacobites, was the MacGillivrays. I'm going to say that wrong so many times. The MacGillivrays. Now, they were part of a bigger clan, which was the MacGillivrays, the Macintoshes, the Macphersons. They made up a bigger clan called the Clan Chattan. When the battle was due, the Macintoshes, the head of the Macintoshes, he was away, he was doing Black Watch. Now I don't know what Black Watch is, I haven't looked it up, but he wasn't available for the battle. So he said to his wife, of all people, he said, "Wifey, will you get all my clan ready for battle and send them to that battle? I'll see you in a few weeks, yeah? Bye-bye." So he put the phone down and she was left with this stupid task of getting all the men together. But she did. She got them ready, but then she thought, well, I can't lead them into battle. I'm a girl, I'm a woman. I can't do this. So she went up to the chief of the MacGillivrays and asked him if he'd lead them into the battle, because he was 6'5" tall, massive, and a very well-known rock-hard warrior. So she gave him that job, and he agreed to do it. He says, yeah, they can join us, join our clan, and we'll all go in there and beat the English's butts. So the chief MacGillivray took them to a big stone on the corner of this battlefield. It's a big ancient stone, about 4 foot tall. He lined all his men up, all his clan men up. He says, right, all of you, stand in line, take in turns, sharpen your stones on this, sharpen your swords on this stone. I want you ready for this. So they sharpened the stones and then went to the front line, ready for battle. I'm actually stood now on the front line of the Jacobites, you see, by the blue flags. They've marked it, so you know where they were stood. And they know this from, as I say, from the metal detecting finds that they've had. They can work out where all the soldiers were, roughly. So the charge began over there on the right hand side. Over here on the left, apparently it was really boggy during the war, so they were much slower in getting forward. And they've actually tried to recreate it. They're trying to put bogs back in here to try and make it more as much like it was during the battle as possible. This little monument is for the Stuarts and the McLarens. 250 of them lost their lives here. Now, they don't seem very well respected, if you ask me. A piece of grass and a dandelion. You know, that's not very good. That's not very respectful. I'd rather just leave nothing. So going back to the story, as I say, the English were firing cannons. If you're getting wind in this, I'm sorry, I'm using my phone because it's raining. The English were firing the cannons, and the Jacobites decided to charge. The first person to charge, who was it? It was the chief himself, oh yes. Led by example, charged at the English, and they managed to get to the front line of the English, and they were doing pretty well. But the English had 3 lines of defence. They got to the second line and then they started struggling, started getting beaten up and killed. So they had to retreat back to their front line. The chief himself got injured, and he was really struggling to get back to his front line. But on his way, he saw a little drummer boy, just a young boy, and he was crying, saying, please help me, I need water. He'd been injured, and he was only a drummer, poor lad. He says, I need water. So the chief thought, well, I can't just leave you there, son. And he dragged him to this spot right here, now known as the Well of the Dead. It's like a natural spring in the moorland, and he brought him here so he could have his drink. But unfortunately, the chief himself, the chief of the MacGillivray, I'm going to have to say it right for this, respectfully, the chief of the MacGillivrays died on this spot. As you can see from the stone, it marks the exact spot. So this is where the height of the battle took place. This is where the clan leader got to. You see the red flags, that's the front line of the English forces, the English government, and they managed to get to there. That's where they've metal detected the whole area and found loads of musket balls and things, which are in the museum part, which you're not allowed to film. But they did it very well. The metal detected it very well and recorded exactly where they found every musket ball and every item, and it mainly centres around that area, just that area on the front line. So that's where the chief got up to, and then that's when they had to retreat. You've still got this little farmhouse here as well, which was here during the fighting, and apparently just 100 years ago they actually pulled out a cannonball from the wall of this. So the English just went on, enjoyed the target practice and finished off the battle. Some reports say it took an hour, some reports say it was only half an hour, believe it or not. There was 50 Englishmen died and 1,250 of the Scottish Jacobites died. As well as that, there were 3,470 Scottish taken prisoner. So that was the last ever battle fought right here on British soil, the Battle of Culloden, and it had massive, massive effects. It saw the end of the 60-year civil war which had been going on for a start, but it also ended Scottish clans as they had been up until then. All along this trip I've been telling you about Scottish clans and fighting each other, and you know, they all had certain areas in Scotland and they were all very proud, but it all disappeared. After that, to be in a clan, all it meant is to have the same last name as it does today. Because it was like 2-3 decades after this battle that they started the clearances which I've talked about, where the government forces just cleared all the lands and put sheep on there. The clans were pretty much, a lot of them had to go abroad, they were sent abroad and just stopped existing. So the Scottish lost a lot of its roots right here on this battleground on that particular day. It completely changed British history. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know it's a bit long-winded, but I needed to get the proper story of the Jacobites out and this battle, because it's a big central piece of the Scottish history which I'm showing you a lot of, and you need to know why, what the Jacobites are, what they're about. I know you all want to know what's inside them packages, don't you? I'm going to show you. I've already opened them. I'm absolutely buzzing. Right, firstly, I'll say I went shopping. Paul had already got me some things in the fridge, like sausage and bacon and stuff. I'd already gone out and bought it, so I felt a bit bad. But thank you so much, Paul. That was so nice of you. Here's my fridge. It's full of wonderful things. John Smith's, ready meals, sausages, bacon, eggs, onion rings, potato skin. Oh, I love potato skins. You know when you hollow them out and put cheese and stuff in? Got that. I've got 3 smoothie-like drinks. He even got me some milk. So considerate, but I don't like cow nipple juice. Never have done. But Paul's been and he's had a coffee, so he's had some, so that's alright. It's not going to be wasted. Anyway, I got these packages when I arrived, and I've just opened them, and I'm in shock. I'm in absolute 100% shock. Firstly, I've got 2 jumpers, and they are the jumpers I would have picked if I was picking jumpers right now. In summer, I don't like wearing short sleeves on their own, because I haven't got the arms for it. My arms look a bit silly. So I always like to have long sleeves as my top layer. And this is exactly what I'd pick. 2 very thin jumpers. We've got a blue, super dry. They're all super dry. Super dry. Honestly, the company. You want super dry. We've got a grey super dry. So I've got 2 of them. For underneath, I've got 3 t-shirts. We've got white, blue and black. Sorry, the light's not playing up. The light's not working when I move around. I'm sorry about that. I've got a big, luxurious grey charcoal towel. I'm having a great day. We've got some snacks. We've got some fish and chip varieties. I love these. Salt and vinegar, chicken and chips and pickled onion. Big pack of Maltesers. Mikado. Yeah, have you ever had them? I think they're like sticks, like crackers with chocolate on them. Can't beat it. What else have I got? I've got so much. I've got more clothes. More clothes. Look at this. Oh. Beautiful, beautiful. Super dry again. 2 super dry shirts. We've got like a blue and burgundy and a blue and a dark blue. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There's more. I just don't know what to show you next. Down here, Okay, I've done all my washing, so I had socks and I had underpants and stuff. It were all sorted out, but I didn't even have to. I can throw them away now because I've got new socks. 4 pairs of socks, 4 pairs of underpants, boxer shorts. We've got red, green, blue and white. You know, around the rim. They're all the same colour at the bottom. They're like cool. Some people don't like that. I don't care. Three packs of them. They cost a fortune. And this amazing thing, power pack. So I've got power on the go, and that's a really good one. That's like I could charge my phone probably about 10 times with that. That is a massive trip difference for me. And there's one more thing. Oh, my arm's aching. Honestly, I've been filming so long because I've got so many good things. My arm's aching. My pizza's ready. I've got a pizza in the oven. That's ready because my phone's just telling me. In fact, it was ready 47 seconds ago. Let me just dismiss that. Okay, that's gone. And I've got something else as well. Truly amazing. A shaver. A brawn shaver. And it's like, I think that's real silver. Look at it. Look at it glisten. Look at that glisten. Woo! Oh, it works. Oh, it does it. Look how many heads it's got. About 40 heads. Do I need a shave? Look at my moustache bit, yeah? It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It went in about 4 seconds. That is amazing. I'm just buzzing. And I've got a card as well. Somebody's looking out for me. That's all I can say. I've been shopping. I've got some gloves ready for metal detecting. I've got some more batteries for my metal detector. I've got like a welcome pack here with water and shortbread, hot chocolate. Yeah, I've got the lot. And tomorrow I'm being picked up at 10 o'clock by Paul to go metal detecting in a field. Nothing gets better than right now. Buzzing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know why the colour's just gone like this on my camera. I'll just have to play around with it when I get back in the car. But thank you for watching this. I hope you appreciated that little story, a bit of history for you. Please do join me next time on Digging the Coast 3, 6, 5.